the VI 5G use case demonstration.
Okay, that is the telecom majors detailing their rollout plans. For Reliance Jio, they're planning to have a pan-India presence by December 2023. Bharti will have a very good coverage across India by March 2023, which basically means 18 months from now. But Vodafone Idea has said that they will be launching and rolling out 5G very soon. But the statement lacked any specifics. We're now joined by Dayanand Mittal of JM Financial Institutional Securities on the show now. Dayanand, that is the big question, right? There is still lack of clarity, no specific details coming out of Vodafone Idea. And do you think this is going to accelerate revenue market share loss for Vodafone Idea? It's been losing subscribers every month now, practically for so long now. But now if it's not offering 5G, whereas its peers are offering 5G, do you think it stands to lose some of those premium subscribers? And what's the impact? What's the outlook of Vodafone Idea according to you now?
Thanks, Rima. Thanks for having me. Yes, you are correct. Vodafone Idea, as you know, right now they're struggling even to meet the capex requirement for 4G. So their capex requirement at about 6,000 to 10,000 crore annually is 1/4 or even lower than what Jio and Bharti is spending annually. And for 5G, it's a high capex business. Reliance has already announced a capex of over 2 lakh crores, and Bharti would be also upwards of 1 lakh crore. So Vodafone Idea, given they're struggling to finalize their debt fundraise, equity raise is probably a bit difficult in this scenario. So with that, I think just meeting the capex for 4G itself would be the key focus area in the interim. 5G maybe more of a focus area sometime next year, and this would accelerate the decline in subscriber base, particularly on the high ARPU segment, which are likely to move to 5G. So they would move out to peers like Bharti and Jio unless they kind of jack up their capex.
Do you have any estimate for what the revenue market share is going to look like? I think for Vodafone Idea, the revenue market share is down to 18%. For Bharti, Jio combined, it's close to 75, 76%. What are your own estimates?
Yeah, so assuming they don't go very aggressive on 5G, which looks likely to be the base case, their revenue market share is going to decline by another 300 to 400 basis points in our view over the next 2 to 3 years when a large part of the country will move towards 5G. And telecom being a high operating leverage business, fall in revenue and subscriber market share below the 20% trajectory makes it very difficult for you to then sustain the business in the long term. So that's going to be a key challenge. They need to get this fundraise done quickly. Though we still believe this 20,000 crore fundraise, even if they get it through, will be very limited given the higher capex requirement in 5G. So outlook looks very difficult for Vodafone Idea, I would say. But still, let's see how the fundraise goes through.
Okay, so you're anticipating a 300 to 400 basis points of a revenue market share loss for Vodafone Idea in the next 2 to 3 years, as things currently stand. What's the outlook for Indus Stars? Just last week, they sent a very stern letter to Vodafone Idea saying, pay up your dues or we will cut coverage and service to Vodafone Idea. If one of their biggest tenants, which contributes about 30 or a third of it, to their overall revenues, outlook is still unclear, what does this mean for Indus Stars?
Yes, you're right. One of the two tenants that Indus has in most of its stars is Vodafone Idea, the Wing Bharti. So if they were to lose out that would have a huge impact on their earnings, given, again, it's a high operating leverage business. So everything hits the bottom line. And hence, our estimates and target price also see a sharp cut if you assume we move towards a duopoly scenario. So right now, our target price about 240 assumes a 75% probability that Vodafone survives and a 25% probability that Vodafone the tendency of Vodafone might get lost over the next few years. So in that scenario, target price drops to about 140 odd. So yeah, so the outlook is kind of uncertain for Indus Stars, and that's the reason we have a hold rating given there's still limited clarity whether Vodafone can sail through given the huge capex requirement.
So this target price of 140 on Indus Stars assumes that Vodafone Idea does not exist at all.
Yeah, this is a bear case scenario, assuming a 100% duopoly scenario. Our target price of 240 is based on a 75% duopoly scenario.
Okay.
Assuming Vodafone survives, then the target price could be significantly above 240.
And how does but Vodafone Idea, even if it survived, has been consistently weakening, right? So in that context, what is the graded decline that we should expect in Indus-Towers?
Yeah, but on the other hand, we also look at that with 5G coming in, there's huge requirement of towers which will come from Bharti, maybe also from Jio down the line. So on one hand, 5G is a good thing which is happening from Indus-Towers perspective. But on the other hand, it's partly getting offset by a decline in Vodafone-related towers.
This draft telecom bill has also simplified the framework for merger, demerger, acquisition, or other forms of restructuring. They've allowed the government to provide relief to financially stressed telcos in cases of payment default in extraordinary circumstances. What are the implications for Vodafone Idea in particular?
Yeah, so at least the draft bill gives government the liberty to waive off or partially defer the dues for stressed telcos for a greater public good to maintain connectivity of services. So given as we discussed earlier, the debt that Vodafone Idea has, almost 1.9 lakh crore plus, looks difficult to get serviced based on given the current declining subscriber profile. So there is some expectation that there would be some relief which would be required from the government even going forward to make this a sustainable telco. So at least the government has provided a provision to do that in case it's required down the line. They don't need any relief at least for next 3 years given the moratorium that we have. But after 3 years, there might be again a scenario where they would have to depend on government's relief to sustain thereafter. So at least a provision has been created by the government via this draft bill.
What, according to you, is the reason why the government is not converting the interest on the AGR dues into equity? It's been pending since January of 2022. And if the government, has been very vocal about saying that it wants healthy market competition in the sector, they want 3 private players. And if they do not convert, then it's harder for Vodafone Idea to raise that external funding, which is needed for 5G rollout. So what, according to you, is holding the government back? What's the reason for the delay?
What we understand is there's a SEBI regulation which requires that the current market price of Vodafone Idea needs to be above the fair value of 10 rupees because the conversion can't happen below 10 rupees. So for that to happen, the CMP should be greater than 10 is what we understand. So current market price of Vodafone is below that level. So
you already agreed upon a conversion price, right? Of I think 11 rupees 80 paise.
Yeah, so once it goes above that fair value, then the government might take the final call to do that conversion. Otherwise, most of the approvals are in place.
No, my point is that the government has already agreed on a conversion price, right, of 11 rupees 80 paise. So that's independent of where the stock is currently trading at.
Yeah, but the SEBI regulations require that government conversion can't happen at above CMP. So the CMP needs to go to above that conversion price for it to go through. This is to protect government's finances, given it's a public money.
Okay. Thank you, Dayanand, for joining in. We look forward to chatting with you more when the Q2 numbers start trickling in and what the expectations are. But we're out of time right now. Get into a short break. We'll come back and discuss market technicals. Gaurav Ratnapar